Welcome to ApologyGirl, episode number 3. Today I'm going to talk about the character of Cameron and Gregory House from the show housemd. Now, I have seen this show many times, many rewatches over the years, and it always mystifies me, always mesmerizes me. Always I am fascinated by the cleverness of Dr. House and the way he interacts with people and how he gets away with it, with all his bad behavior, and how he only has one friend, Dr. Wilson, and how he interacts with his colleagues. Today I'm going to talk about Cameron, Alison Cameron. She is a doctor who works under Gregory House in the diagnostic department of the hospital in New Jersey. So it's very interesting for me, this relationship of sorts. It's very interesting, the psychological interactions. Why, Alison is, an attractive girl. She's very clever in her profession. She's a very good doctor, although she's still very naive. And for example, when the cancer patient, the woman, she can't bring herself to tell her the truth that she is dying. She has to go through the 5 stages of, as House calls it, 5 stages of grief after she has to tell her, this patient, that she's dying, and she finds it very difficult to do so. She's always trying to avoid the inevitable death, the inevitable destiny we'll face, and it's like she has this savior complex, okay? Also, she has this martyr complex. She's always willing to go down, and, for example, when she quits the job, it's always like, a little bit of, for me, I'm doing it for pity of you, and she leaves. Also, let's not forget that we see the beginning of her savior / martyr complex when she in the past marries her late husband after he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So she married him anyway, and we ask ourselves, does she marry him despite of the cancer or because of the cancer? It's like she has this psychological need to fix, people or be there for them in extreme circumstances, like to sacrifice herself for some obscure reason. And House picks up on this, fairly early, because he's always like 10 steps ahead of everyone all the time. We then, she's very naive, and she always thinks that everybody has the best intentions like she does. And she's a little bit moralistic as well, because she applies her own moral values onto everyone, and she's very judgy, actually. Although I think she's a very good person, she has these, I think, big flaws that prevent her from having a fulfilled life. And remember, these doctors working under House, they usually have no personal lives, because obviously the job is very demanding. And I don't know, but if you see, none of them have a long-term relationship. None of them. Even Wilson, lovely Dr. Wilson, he has gone through several divorces. But let's focus on Alison Cameron. What I like about her is, like, she has, because of her big moral code, she's not afraid to stand up for herself with House. That is why she's one of the doctors that has a more steadfast connection with House. If you see through the show, you see he's always looking to her, either to poke her in fun or whatever, or to seek advice from medically. And when she quits, he does everything to bring her back, even agreeing to go on a date with her, because we know that early on that she has a big crush on Dr. House, and then when and she's quite aggressive about it afterwards. Like, she thinks that he has to like her in that way. It's like she doesn't understand why he wouldn't give her a chance, right? She's always very defiant. She knows how to push his buttons, and I think that's why they have this special relationship between them. I think Gregory House really appreciates her, although he doesn't really appreciate anyone. But I think he does have some genuine affect for her, okay, affection. The same way that he has a big affection towards 13 later in the show. So why doesn't House want Alison? I mean, she's way younger than him, she's pretty, she's clever, I think they even have the same, or one of the same specializations. So she's very intelligent, and they speak the same language. So and we know that he loves younger women, right? So why doesn't he want to be with her? Why does he reject her? So quite bluntly, actually, and a couple of times, actually, because she insists, and why is that? He could have a fling, right? I mean, he doesn't give a fuck about anything. So, well, I think it's because, we know that it's because of her savior complex. He thinks she wants him because she loves him, actually, because he's broken, and she wants to fix him, broken because of his leg and the trauma that came about that, and because of his addiction to Vicodin, because of his negative traits. She thinks everything is fixable, and House says to her that basically, you just want me because you think you can fix me. It's like you want you always like a person for you is like a project, like your late husband was like a project to fix him, to be the person there who takes care, the person who is the savior or the martyr, okay? And that is why House rejects her. But I think deep down also, knowing House, my knowledge of him, my perception of him is that he rejects her not because, obviously because he doesn't want someone who wants to fix him. So like blindly, she's quite blind in that way, a bit, stunted. But I think it's because he doesn't like to be chased, which is a nice pun from Chase, who ends up being her husband, Cameron's husband, like poor Chase, that doesn't end well either. But I think House rejects Cameron because he doesn't like to be chased. I mean, she chases him almost unscrupulously, okay? She doesn't understand that he doesn't want her. I think House, his psychology, is like, he likes, the tug of war. He likes when he sees someone like, Stacy or Cady. He likes when he really actually likes a woman in his own twisted ways. When he really actually likes her, he likes her because they don't chase him. They play with him. It's like this. They have this banter all the time. Stacy, Cady, they had like the same kind of like banter stuff type with him. This silent war, but at the same time it was very filled with sarcasm and funny bits. So he's attracted to that, to a woman that is kind of like very witty and sarcastic, and she won't back down. But with Cameron, she's always chasing him. She's like, every time she's in front of him, she has this big puppy eyes for him, and one of the cringiest scenes is when they go for dinner, the famous date. And it's so cringe because she's kind of like, it's very fake. They're not being themselves. House knows it's going to be a disaster, but Cameron thinks it's going to be okay because she thinks everything is fixable. So if you watch that scene closely, House tries. You can see that House is very uncomfortable because he doesn't want to be there. He knows it's not going to work. Actually, he went on a date with her to get her back in the job. He does not care for her as a partner, not even as a sexual partner. He cares for her as a doctor. And I think he sees her more like, like acolyte or a follower of his steps, He doesn't see her as, he doesn't want her, even though he considers her pretty and beautiful and sexy, whatever, and intelligent. There is not that chemistry present for him. But for her, for Cameron, she obviously is attracted and is totally crushing on House all the time. But House is through that. But I think it's not so much. I think that what he explains to her, that she wants to fix him, like she did want to fix her like late husband, and she wants to be a martyr. I think that's the second reason. I think the first reason is that he just simply doesn't like being chased by the woman. Okay, she wants to be the chaser. He likes a battle of wits, and I think he sees Cameron as very naive and very underdeveloped, and just very immature in that area. And with her complex, savior is like, it makes things worse. So yeah, it's very interesting. And Cameron, I think she always loved House, and because it was in a way her mentor. but at the same time, she really genuinely like fell in love with him. You know, the way other women fell in love with him, like Stacy and Cuddy and Dominica as well. So yeah, so there are many women that House has fallen in love with. I mean, there are many women he has slept with, well, mainly, you know, prostitutes, but there are not many women who House sees them as equals. Like, he's very intellectual, very brainy, so he likes the banter, he likes the intellectual war, so to speak. And I think that's what he gets off on that, and he falls in love with that. You know, if you study his relationship with Stacy and then with Cuddy, you can see why he is attracted to those women, okay, and not to Cameron, okay. So, you know, it's sad. I always felt very sad for Cameron because she's so naive, and it's like she seems like she will never be like changed. But then at the end, you see her like she had a child with another guy, and she seems happy, but she doesn't seem that happy. I don't think she will ever be really happy. I mean, I don't know. There's something about her that she's very stubborn and doesn't want to admit and acknowledge. But who knows? Maybe she went to therapy, and that is why now she's in with the other guy, with unknown guy, with the baby at the end. But who knows? Maybe she just settled, like she tried to settle with Chase. Poor Chase. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I think she's a really good person. She has a really good heart. But at the same time, she can be, you know, very moralistic and demanding, and also imposing. And she always is up in her high horse. She always expects everybody to conform to her moral values. And then you see her, you know, and then she's always, you know, eternally surprised when everything blows up in her face. But with Chase, that was another story, which I will, you know, talk about it in other podcasts. For now, I wanted to say what I think about why House actually rejected Cameron. So, you know, it's because he just don't like being chased. He wants to be the chaser. He wants a battle of wits, and Cameron just wasn't up for it. I mean, she just didn't have that type of personality, okay? She was like a puppy in love, and, you know, very moralistic, and House doesn't like that at all. And I think he was very turned off by her, even though he, you know, he utilizes her, because you remember, House is an asshole, and he utilizes her as his secretary at the beginning, do you remember? And he admits he hired her because she was pretty. So, and Cameron is forever surprised when, you know, the world doesn't conform to her views, you know. So that's very funny in a way. I mean, it's not funny. I mean, I wouldn't be, you know, ecstatic if my boss just hired me because I was pretty, or, you know. But at the same time, I get House, you know, point of view is like, I wouldn't be, if I was a man, I wouldn't be want to be chased around. I would like to be the one who chases, you know, who is free to choose my partner. You know, I would want to feel imposed by anyone. And House definitely doesn't want to feel imposed by anyone. He does everything on his own terms. And, you know, that is how he ends, you know, for good or for bad, you know, when everything's gone, he does everything on his own terms. So, okay, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think, you know, it would be possible for a chance between Cameron and House under different circumstances? What do you think? Do you think that House would ever be really, like, attracted to her intellectually and sexually enough to want her and to be with her? What do you think? Cameron was so obsessed with House. Do you think she ever stopped loving him? Do you think she settled with the other men, like Chase and the unknown guy with the baby? What do you think, guys? So let me know. And if you want to support this new channel, ApologyGirl, just like, subscribe, comment, and, you know, just be cool. So until the next one, bye.